is good. Yeah, so welcome everyone. Welcome. Today we'll be talking about the buzzword in marketing these days, that is AI, and to show how much of a buzzword it is. I think this is the third or is it fourth session this year alone. But yeah, it's a very it's really important, right? I think we can all agree it's here to stay. And yeah, so let's just see the application of AI in marketing. Okay, how do I close this? Okay, great. So just looking at what we'll be talking about today, we'll be starting with an intro. Again, for some of these things, I might not go into too much info about it. I think today's session will be mostly conversational, right? Because for some of the things, like whether it's AI tools and stuff like that, I think we've had several sessions in the past that have spoken to them. We'll be speaking more around, how it has affected marketing so far, or what we think the future of AI in marketing is, right? There are quite a number of videos that speak to that as well. So we'll be looking at the intro to AI, the history of AI, not necessarily in marketing. This is just the history of AI, case studies of AI in marketing, the benefits of AI tools, concerns around AI, and then the session would end. Starting with intro to AI. I think everyone knows what AI is, right? It's just when people make computers act like human beings, right? So weird. With all the sci-fi movies we've seen, you would think that everyone would know that's not a good idea, but here we are in 2023. So in general, they work by taking in large amount of data, right? They analyze the data for correlation, patterns, and that's a very human trait, right? So it's something we do subconsciously. It's how we make inferences, right? A lot of times we take in patterns. So it's why you have inferences like, okay, no, never know good day. That will cause a war. But people just make certain inferences, or things like, oh, whether people saying a way to a man's heart is his belly, right? It's an inference based on data some people might have ingested that, okay, I think my grandfather is always happy when, they place a plate of food in front of him. My father, I can infer that most men, or the way to most men's heart is through food, so it's a very human trait, right? It's what we do generally. You just observe patterns and you make statements, whether they are true or false. And that again is another problem with AI too. It's another concern, right? Because some of those inferences they might be making from observing those patterns might not be entirely true, right? So, and we'll be speaking to, some of the concerns around AI too, right? But the important thing is that it's machines that learn sort of like humans do. And AI programming is focused on these major cognitive skills, which is learning. So like we mentioned, it acquires data. From the data it acquires, it creates rules and then turns it into actionable information, right? So by observing patterns and all of that. So those rules are what we know as algorithms, right? For anyone who has a social media account, I mean, you probably know this, right? So you have reasoning. Here, this is the AI programming focusing on choosing the right algorithm to reach a desired outcome. You have self-correction. So most AI programming are designed to, continually fine-tune the algorithm, right? It's why, I mean, for Instagram, at least I know a lot of people always complain. It seems like the algorithm is always changing. Like this month you think, okay, I think I understand it, and the next month it's like, what is going on, right? And then creativity, this one is interesting because it's one we've seen more recently, right? I remember for a lot of people, right, it used to be that, oh, at least even if AI takes all the other jobs, one job, like would you call it like bucket of jobs that won't be affected will be those ones where you have to be creative, right? But I don't know, AI is proving us wrong on that. I mean, I think I've shared the story several times where I used to work in quality control that in a food factory, right? And I remember the day they brought a machine that could do what we could do. So I think there was a particular test called IV test. That IV test takes around, give or take, 1 hour, right? And the machine could do it in about 1 minute, right? So it was then I knew that, I had to look for, I had to get out of there. And of course, switching roles, or you'd say, I mean, for me, the no-brainer was, a creative field, because that seems like the field that won't get disrupted by automation or, machine learning. But here we are. I mean, right now you have AI using neural networks, to create music, create text, blocks of text, to create artworks as well, right? So looking at the timeline of AI, and I think this is the interesting one. For a lot of people, people think AI is, something that came recently, right? It's a recent invention, but far from that, right? AI has been in existence, right? As far back as 1950, sorry. You had the Turing's test. So it was done by a computer scientist called Alan Turing. So it was his way of testing if a machine can be thought to be human, right? So, and a lot of times what they would do is that they would make the machine do certain tasks, and have people vote on whether they think it was a human or it was a machine. So yeah, that was how it started. The term AI itself was coined in 1955. In 1961, we had the first industrial robots, Unimate. It went to work at General Motors, replacing humans on the assembly line. It always seems like there's always that trend with AI, right? You have Eliza, it was the first chatbot. It was developed by Joseph. Sorry, I can't pronounce his second name. At MIT, it was able to hold conversations with humans. And it's interesting to see that this was in 1964, right? In 1966, the first electronic person from Stanford, Shaky, the first electronic person from Stanford, Shaky, is a general purpose mobile, blah, blah, blah. So it's like a robot that could make conversations. Then there was an AI winter between 1966 and 1997. So nothing much happened. There were false starts, dead ends. There wasn't much going on there. Then in 1997, you had Deep Blue. It was a computer that could play chess. It defeated the world chess champion, that's Gary Kasparov. In 1998, Kismet, it's called Kismet. So Cynthia at MIT introduced Kismet. So it's an emotionally intelligent robot. And how they pegged it at that was that it could detect and also respond to people's feelings. In 1999, I think most of us might remember this, I think. But I do remember the buzz around, the pet dog that's from Sony, the Aibo pet dog. And of course, we had the Roomba in 2002. I think from here, most of it gets a lot familiar. It was the first autonomous robotic vacuum cleaner released in 2002. Of course, we know Siri. Everybody probably makes use of, okay, maybe not everybody, those who use iPhones, right? But again, Siri sort of led to the birth of even other virtual assistants like Google Assistant, Cortana and all. You had IBM's question answering computer. It went on Jeopardy and it won first place. I just wonder who the money for that, who the money went to, right? Then you had Eugene, a chatbot that was able to pass the Turing's test. So again, they ran Eugene through the Turing's test, and a third of the people who were asked to judge thought that Eugene was human, right? That's interesting. So you had Alexa in 2014, Tay by Microsoft in 2016, and I mean it just goes on and on, right? It's something that's been going. So I think the important thing to see here is that AI has been a lot closer to us than we think. While a lot of people think that it's something that's that's fairly recent, but far from it, right? It's something we've even been interacting with that we probably are not aware of. Well, I think what's happening is that there's a specific type of AI that, in recent time has become more popular, and that's the generative AI. And we'll talk a lot about that, right? So when you think of things like Face ID, even just scrolling through your social media, right? AI is already at play. We've spoken about how it creates algorithms, right? It creates rules based on what it thinks you like, based on what the kind of people it thinks you would follow. It's interesting. I remember when they started doing all this, I was part of those like, no, they should stop it, blah, 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 blah. I think for Twitter too, they did it. I think most of the social media platforms did it, but Twitter now made available, made it possible for you to change. So for instance, if you don't want the algorithm at work, you just want to see what your regular followers are posting, you can easily change that on Twitter. So I remember when I found that you could do that, I happily went and changed it, right? And then I started scrolling through Twitter and it was like, my goodness, was Twitter always this boring? Sharp, I switched back to the normal one and controlled by the algorithm, right? So AI has always been there, right? You have email. For many of us who use Grammarly or even just the spell check in Gmail, right? That's AI at work. We have voice assistants, whether you're using Siri, whether you're using Google Assistant, Netflix, right? Netflix is constantly trying to, again, this works for people who do not share their password to, the whole community. If you are the only one watching content on Netflix, chances are that, AI is at work there, trying to decipher what you like most and bring that to the forefront. Customer service, I think most of us know this with chatbots, right? So yeah, it's been here for a while. So looking at it in marketing specifically, AI in marketing, right? Also, interestingly, AI has been available in marketing for quite a while, but I think it will be the media guys and the account managers that might be more acquainted with, it so far, right? From 1950 to 1960, we had the first attempt of AI in marketing by researchers. So they applied it to techniques such as linear programming, game theory, and decision trees to optimize marketing mix and pricing strategies. Again, it has a lot more to do, with the media guys, account managers, and all. So in 1970, we had, of course, neural networks at play here to sort of help marketers model customer behavior, preferences, and to create personalized recommendations, right, and offers. 1990 to 2000, we had the rise of the internet, e-commerce. It opened up a whole lot of opportunities. We do know, typically, like it's a lot easier to track, customer preferences and all of that, on digital. You can literally even determine or properly measure your results, on digital platforms, right, than you can on traditional. So the internet really helped with that. E-commerce helped with that. So they started to use AI tools like web analytics, search engine optimization, email marketing. For most people who would have received some email marketing, I'm sure you'd have received it. So a lot of them personalize it these days, right? So you receive Dear Tolani or Dear whatever your name is. And sometimes even the content of the email too will be personalized to you based on maybe some information they might have learned about you. So 2010 to 2020, you had the development of big data, cloud computing, natural language processing. Of course, that's through chatbots and all of that. So a lot of them started using it, of course, to, create content. So that's where we are at now, right? So it started with media, started with, the management of the accounts. Now it's come to the creative side as well, right? We know platforms like ChatGPT that can create content, right? Written content, can create captions in seconds, can generate emails, right? Can proofread stuff. And of course, we know with Midjourney, you can literally create anything, right? So looking at the modern AI tools, and for this, it was almost impossible to sort of create a list because you find out that there are countless AI tools. Currently, there are over 2,000 AI tools being used in marketing, right? Some come baked into platforms like Canva, I mean, I think across in some of the previous sessions we've spoken today, some come baked into platforms like Photoshop, Shutterstock, Bing. I think the Shutterstock one was the shocker for us. I remember I was too missing. We're having issues paying for Midjourney, and that was where he discovered that Shutterstock now had their own inbuilt image generator. Of course, it wasn't as great, or it's still not as great as Midjourney, right? But it's showing the trend. There's that general race. Everybody is literally racing because you know that your platform could become obsolete if you do not, try to integrate AI into it. So we know the ones that, like I said, are baked into platforms like Canva, Photoshop, Shutterstock, Bing. There are others that are standalone apps or platforms, ChatGPT, Midjourney, Brand 24, etc, etc. Yeah, so I've been speaking for a while. This is sort of where I opened the floor to start to ask questions. And as everyone knows, I would call names. So what I would do here is, I mean, for someone in media, I would ask what AI tool they use. Then I'll ask for other departments as well. So starting with media, hi Afolabi, good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Motola. Good morning.
Yes, hi Afolabi. I'm just seeing now that Ayotunde has his hand up. Sorry, Afolabi, once we are done with you, we'll come to you, Ayotunde. Yeah, so Afolabi, what AI tool do you currently use? What AI tool helps you with your job currently?
Well, as it is right now, the platform that we use have some inbuilt that we currently use. However, on some rare occasions whereby we want to get more details, like a deep depth in intel, we use some that are paid tools, but not all our clients agree to pay for them. And for those that are doing community management as well, they also use paid tools just for them to get some kind of details. Because the platform, when they started, some of the analytics, which is part of the AI tools that has been embedded, they are free. So now they are all trying to now make money off it by trying to allow others platform that they are specifically built for analytics, whereby you tend to embed whatever you are doing from that platform to that. So you tend to have it. So I'll give an example of while I was working with this brand, that's P&G. P&G does not believe the analytics from the likes of Google and Facebook for them to make payments. So the one they have the one they usually pay for. So if you are working for them in any country, they give you login and access, whereby it's whatever they get from that particular platform that they will believe, not the one that the platform itself is actually giving out. So it all varies. We can use the inputs or we use the paid ones. And for example, like there's one, Media Toolkit. Media Toolkit is this type of tools that let you have some knowledge on what is happening in digital space about your brand. It can just be the name, where the name pops up, where a lot of things that you yourself, you even believe that is this your name, that your brand name is actually here, there. So this app will bring it out for you in a more broader way and let you know the number of mentions it got, down to the extent of the time it was typed in and all that. So that is pretty much it. But for the brand that I currently use, which is Union Bank, they've not subscribed for a while, despite us suggesting for them to use this right to also help them to know how many digital mentions they get. But I don't know why they are not subscribing to it. Probably maybe we are not handling the community management for them, because if we are, it's something they would have, because I would have given different reasons why they should opt for it. Yeah. So we have different types. Okay. I'm trying to remember their names. Like the one I usually use, which I don't know why I usually recommend that particular one for the Media Toolkit. Probably maybe it's because their customer service is you have a personalized someone that can attend to you whenever. Yeah, so probably maybe that is why it's always in my head. Like I remember then when we are trying to recommend them for Union Bank, I had several meetings with them to the extent that they even called me. There was a time they even wished me happy birthday on my birthday. I was surprised that was it because of this? So I just love that particular brand. That's its media toolkit. So I don't know, maybe that is why I love them. I recommend them to anybody that want to use any tools for digital listening and all that. Media toolkit is only number one for my mind. I think they should be paying me for that. Yeah. So that is one. Yeah. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Afolabi. Yeah, Ayatunde, I I know you had your hand up. Do you want
It's
to say something?
morning, Motola, morning, everyone. So you mentioned AI and shorter stock, right? So maybe the question is not directly for you. I just wanted to know if anybody has used the AI function in creating images before. I guess where I'm going eventually is is it part of your subscription or would it cost you extra, to generate an image?
Yeah, I think Tomisin can speak to
Let me
this,
let
but I
me
know he.
answer that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry, I have a cold. So for Shutterstock, for example, I just stumbled upon their AI recently while researching and found out that it comes with the subscription for normal images that we pay for. And even though theirs is not as great as the likes of Midjourney and the rest, but theirs is also very good. I think their focus is more on objects, right? When they create object images for you, um, or inanimate images, you can tell that these guys have done a lot of work, right? And trust me, most of these other platforms are looking to get into that space. I think I saw on Splash too. They have an AI platform, but I couldn't access theirs as well. But I know that for most of all these stock image platforms, they are looking at getting into that space whereby AI is what I mean, because everybody would eventually have to jump on that bandwagon whereby you're using AI to generate a lot of things. And yes, a Shutterstock one is with the paid subscription. That's for images, so you don't have to do an extra subscription, or it's not an increased fee for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tomisin. So I think what we're going to see is that a lot of these platforms that sort of have a bank of, images would eventually do it, right? Because I know some of the issues with, I don't know if Midjourney has that issue, but I think it was Stable Diffusion. I know that some artists, some platforms, I know Getty Images even sued a particular platform over using some of their images as, the data that is being fed into their AI, right? But if you have a platform like Shutterstock, you already have access to images that you do not need to go through. You don't need to go through a lot to get, licensing for and all. So it just makes sense. In fact, when Tomisin, I remember when he mentioned the Shutterstock, for me, it was just like, oh, that was just the natural next step, right? It just made perfect sense for them to do that. And with us on Splash, I mean, that also makes a lot of sense since they have that bank of, they have some of that in the image bank, right? Yeah. So I know, so I think we already have someone who has spoken to, art direction. Someone has spoken to media. I know Dere had something where Dere mentioned meltwater in the comment section. So Dere, you want to speak to meltwater? Really weird name though.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I mentioned Motola when Afolabi was mentioning media toolkit. So it's more like Motola is more like a social intelligence platform where you could actually it's social listening to, I'll put it that way. So say for example, we had the life of the party campaign. We want to listen based off conversations people are having around party, right? So if you impute particular set of keywords listen based off what people are discussing on Instagram, Twitter, depending on the platform you actually want to. You get so. That's why I mentioned Motola, because it's one of those tools that I've used over time that I know how efficient it actually works. It makes you stay ahead of your competitors, because you don't actually necessarily need to now start waiting for all the notifications to come in. But you wait for the notification to come in, right, based off the search that you inputted. So it notifies you that so person is talking about being the life of the party on Twitter, right? So you look at, is this conversation I would like to jump on for my important for thank you.
Thank you, Darren. Okay, I see there are quite a number. So like we said, I think there are over 2,000. I'm sure if we ask everyone here, you'd find that everyone knows a particular tool that maybe not everybody here knows about, but has been really, really helpful. Of course, we have the popular ones that everybody uses, whether it's the ChatGPT and the likes. But yeah, there are currently a whole lot of tools being used. So now we would go to the side where we show case studies that of campaigns that have made use of, AI tools. Some not in the way you would think of it, some, a lot deeper than you would think of it. So I think the Nutella unique hack case is a simple case. It's interesting. So I'll just play that. Let's start with that.
Hi, Motola. Sorry to cut in, but there's no audio. Or is it part of the AI stuff? I don't know.
Larry.
Maybe there's some lesson to pick up from there. I'm just saying, I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness. I don't know why the audio is not playing, actually.
When you were sharing, did you click audio?
Let me stop sharing and reshare then.
You know where it is, right? The bottom left.
Oh, okay. Send it now. Sorry, Velma, I see you have your hand up. I missed that. Sorry. You want to say something before we play it again? Hello?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I'm in the meeting room. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Good morning again. I just wanted to add to what Dere was saying about Meltwater. So it's also a very good online PR tool. So when you're managing like really like big brands, for example, um we used it for Domino's, Cold Stone, and Pinkberry. So it's difficult for you to get like a cohesive understanding of what's happening in the online space, especially if you're dealing with the PR crisis. So that's one of the tools that we use to understand what people were saying about the brand and getting like a really good reach across all social media platforms, PR, blog mentions, everything. So it's a very concise coverage as opposed to like social media mentions. So it's a very good coverage of the whole online space. So it's very good to use for in terms of managing a PR crisis when you want to know what people are saying about you and how to change the narrative moving forward. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Okay, so let me just play this again. Yes, so we saw personalization at its finest with this campaign, and I imagine it would have been impossible to do it without AI, right? Imagine creating 7 million patterns, right? I'm guessing maybe there are 7 million, I don't know, Italians. That's why they made 7 million. But what was so interesting was that they sold out all 7 million in 1 month, right? People just love personalized experiences. And that's something they were able to accomplish with AI. So this is another one called scrolling therapy. The next two are interesting because they won awards in Cannes. So there was an interesting article about so it was almost like a competition. So the number of campaigns that won Cannes by humans versus the ones that won by AIs. I mean AI. Well, to be honest, you still have human elements here because I mean it was a human being that came up with the idea and all. But these two were for the recently concluded Cannes. These were the two that won awards. So I'll start with the scrolling therapy.
3 anos atrás, você perceberia que eu estava sorrindo. Hoje, você não pode ver se estou feliz ou triste.
Las rutinas son muy difíciles de mantener. Básicamente te hacen sentir a veces infantil. A mí me da tristeza.
Parkinson's is a neurodegenerative disorder, so the earlier you start the exercise, the more likely you are to preserve your muscles.
Using an open-source AI platform, we developed an app that leverages the built-in camera to recognize users' facial expressions and translate them into browsing actions. We applied the most important facial expression exercises into our app, turning a smile into a like, a surprise face into scrolling down, a disgust face into scrolling up, a sad face into play, and an angry face into swipe.
Exercise is very important. It strengthens the muscles and also strengthens the connection between the muscles and the brain, generating biofeedback. You express an emotion and then you feel that emotion more intensely, improving brain activity.
The Scrolling Therapy app allows users to control the most popular social media platforms with their faces, receiving visual confirmation that they're doing their exercises correctly.
O que nos separa de outras espécies é nossa capacidade de transmitir essa emoção, é nosso bem mais prezado.
Okay. So I thought that was an interesting one. I don't know if anyone has any comments on this. Of course, they didn't use ChatGPT for this, but so any comments before we move on? Okay, if there are none, I think I'll move to the next one. So the two campaigns were quite emotive, right? So you had the scrolling therapy. The second one was Dreamcaster. I would just play this as well.
Basketball is a very fast-moving sport. If you can't see it, it can make it a very difficult sport to follow. My name is Cameron Black, and I was born completely blind. It's always been my dream to be a sports broadcaster. For a full year, I helped create a new language. I pushed my senses
very quick up and down
to develop a new set of technologies.
Using spatial audio, Cameron is going to have audio experience that places him in the center of the game.
A new vocabulary of sounds that told me what play was happening and where.
We've created a haptic language, a layer on top of the audio to help emphasize intensity and meaning within each play.
And Refreshable Braille was programmed to give me condensed in-game statistics in matter of milliseconds, all powered by data and AI.
Cameron Black, 34 years old, he was born blind, and with the help of Michelob Ultra and special technology, he's going to be able to provide commentary for tonight's game.
I am live in Michelob Ultra Studios, about to bring you Game 3. I'll be taking you through tonight's action, and R.J. Barrett slams it home from downtown. Yeah, baby! Garland commits a traveling turnover, however. Another turnover, or with a bad pass, top and alley-oops a dunk. I got a double ripple on that one, slams it home. That's the game.
Cameron Black.
Cameron Black. Commentating blind. Who else can ever do that?
We'll change sports entertainment for everyone.
My name's Cameron Black, signing off.
Yeah, so I mean, it's amazing to see what AI can help us do. I mean, just thinking about beyond even what you see in everyday life, like how it can help, people with less access to access certain things they might not have been able to access. Yeah, when I watched this case study, I think it gave me goosebumps the first time. This time it's still giving me goosebumps just as much, right? So this next one is just a really, what would you call it, silly one. And I'm sure quite a number of us might know this one. This was done by Heinz Ketchup. This one used, what we popularly use. But yeah, let me play that as well.
All right, don't be surprised if your friends are talking about websites that use artificial intelligence to generate images.
Simply type in a text prompt and it'll create images for you in around a minute.
Results pretty well prove that AI image sourcing associates the word ketchup with Heinz.
That it plays an iconic role in pop culture today as well.
This was a cheeky one, right? Showing that even to AI, ketchup is hands, right? And I think it's been in line with some of the campaigns they've been putting out over the past few years. I know they put out one where they showed some people in the restaurants where they'll buy, they'll buy a regular, maybe some kind of no brand or generic ketchup and put it inside Heinz bottle, just because customers probably wanted Heinz ketchup specifically. So I think this is in line with showing their dominance in the category. Yes. So before we go further, I don't know if there are any thoughts on what we have just shared. So let's start with Jemima. What are your thoughts on what you've seen?
It's honestly phenomenal. Like Thomason also said in the comments in the chat that the human mind is phenomenal. I like AI is honestly just like everything else has its good and bad parts. Just like, there's AI working with do they call it deep fake? And I don't know how deep fake is beneficial to anybody, but it's AI. And this aspect of AI working to help a blind person fulfill his dreams, help prove facts or make how do I put it, assumptions be proven as facts. It's phenomenal. And I think AI in marketing, I'm shocked also to find out that it's been used for so long. I thought it was a very recent development. So awesome presentation, Motola.
Thanks, Jim. So Ore, our tech guy, please tell us, how can we do this? How can we bring this wizardry to, I mean, from your own perspective, or what are just your thoughts basically on the campaign shared? Hi, Ore.
Hi, Motola. Hi. I don't really have any thoughts. I think they're just pretty interesting that you can do.
Please.
So I said I don't really have any thoughts. I just think they're pretty interesting of what you can do with AI, I guess. Not really, I don't really have any thoughts, to be honest. But it was it was interesting to see what people have come up with. That's pretty much it.
Thank you, Ore. Thank you. I can see Priya's comment, deep fake is for the mischievous. So I think a lot of times what happens with new tech is that the people who create the tech really do not know what you can use the tech for, right? A lot of times, well, I mean, some do, but some just put it out there, Again, a lot of scientists are just curious people, right? So they discover you can do this. The question is not why not. The question is how far, right? And then they just do it and put it out there with the hope that, the creative ones will take it and do something great with it. We saw it with the camera, right? Put it out there. Question is, oh, what can you do with it? And then you see creatives just take it and then do something marvelous with it. I think that's the beauty of every new tech you see out there. Right now, it might seem like, oh, I don't know whether to say, and I'm careful. I think it's better to put it out there and let humans, play with it and then create something great out of it than to keep it back and not do anything, if that makes sense. Yeah, so now moving to the benefits of AI in marketing. I think I made some of these videos or some of these campaigns speak for themselves, right? But I found this interesting. So this was sorry, let me just put it back in slideshow. Yeah, so this was a poll that HubSpot ran and was filled by 1,300 professionals. So they shared what the biggest benefits of AI has been to them or has been for them. So for 67%, I think the biggest benefit is being able to create content faster. So I mean, just using the Unica Nutella case study, for example, imagine if the art directors would have had to create 7 million patterns or 7 million designs, right? That would have been killing, right? All-nighters and all of that. And I know even for that's Into the Spider-Verse, yeah, that's the name of the Spider-Man movie as well. I think what they said was that AI really helped them. So they wanted to go to a very more traditional look and feel, like with the cartoon. I think the brief was, don't make it too cartoony, but don't make it too 3D-ish, right? Just make it somewhere smack in the middle. So something that is nostalgic, reminds people of comic books, right? And so that meant they had to do a lot of pointillism, a lot of cross-hatching, those different shading techniques, right? Imagine if they had to do it by hand. I think even with how much they had AI help them, I think it said they're able to create 10 seconds of footage in a whole year. Like just 10 seconds of footage was created in a year, right? That just tells you how how crazy it would have been if they had to do all of that, right? So it's that ability to create content faster. Then 49% of marketers say the biggest benefit is to help them create more personalized content, right? And interestingly, you still see that with even Nutella and even some of the other ones, right? They were able to create very personalized content. So to people with Parkinson's, to people who are visually impaired. So it helps them to do that. And I mean, even for a lot of content, I know people use Canva now to create variations of whatever content they put out. So for instance, you know how we have our content calendars, you might have a social media post where the headline is maybe smack in the middle, you have the visual components at the bottom as well. They found out that sometimes, like just something as little as maybe putting the text at the bottom and putting the image up or putting it to the side, like can impact behavior, right? So sometimes what AI would do is you just feed it that your one creative and it will just create like maybe 100 variations, right? And it just keeps testing it. So you can keep testing to see the best ones that resonate with your audience, right? And then finally, 48% of marketers say it's one of the biggest benefits is to be able to generate new ideas. And I mean, a lot of people say this, right? So you have some people who might generate an image in Midjourney or various images, even for, whether it's photography, and it gives them an idea of the concepts they would create, or even for copywriters, right? Sometimes you might prompt it, even if the ideas are not good enough, it might in your head, spark something new, right? So again, I would go around the room and ask for many of us who have used ChatGPT, not ChatGPT, I don't know where ChatGPT is coming to my head, who have used AI tools, what would you say the biggest benefit is? Yeah, hi to you. Let's start with you.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes. Good morning.
Okay, yes. It just is the output is way faster than doing it manually.
Okay. Thank you. Timmy Fanny.
Hi, Motola. Thanks for the presentation. I said for me, it's the speed. At least I like, not every time, I don't like to use ChatGPT every time, but when I do, is as a starter that I can build on, because I've observed that few times where I relied on ChatGPT, I became a very beautiful Olodo. But yeah, so when I use it, I like to just use it for the basic. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Sophia.
Hi. So for me, it's that first draft. Sometimes when you feel stuck, like what how can I get like my very first output, right? So I think it really helps speed things up, if that's correct English. So, it gives basic ideas, and then from there you are now able to quickly move on to the next phase of development. Yeah, so it's a speed for me.
Thank you. Thanks, Lola. Yes. So I wanted to call Sophia too as well, but I just realized that it's 9:50 already and we haven't gone further. We still have a lot well, not a lot, we still have some slides to cover. So now we move on to the concerns. And I think this is one of the biggest ones, right? I mean, I don't know how many of us saw this image of the Pope in this puffer jacket, right? I remember when I saw the image, I was like, my goodness, like this is I was really tripped, only to find out that it was generated with AI, right? And then the scary thing is that, oh my goodness, how far can people go with this, right? At this point, it would become impossible to know what's real, what's fake, like. And I mean, imagine if someone says, accuses. So, for me, one of my biggest fears is, how you have people accusing maybe someone of raping them when the person didn't rape them. Imagine someone creating, I don't know, an image, where it now puts that person in trouble. Like there are just too many concerns around it, right? And a lot of these concerns have been specifically around, generative AI, because literally it's generating something that doesn't exist. And then there's the issue of fake news. I mean, even before we had generative AI, fake news was something we had an issue with, right? So it's like, how far would this thing take it? And of course, there's the concern around AI taking people's jobs, right? Also, the question around if AI is using my artwork as their data set, right? Shouldn't I be paid, right? Since for some of these platforms, like I can't remember who mentioned it, a lot of them are sort of now charging, right, to have their platforms used. So there's quite a lot of questions around it. Sorry, slideshow again. Yeah, so and I think this was an interesting one, although this video is 8 minutes long. Okay, I'll play it and stop in some bits, because I think some of the last video sort of answers some of the questions here. But let me just play this.
In the coming weeks and months, we're going to be exploring the newest developments in artificial intelligence and how it's changing the way we live and work. Stephanie Tsai kicks off our periodic series, The AI Frontier, with a look at some new tools that are getting attention and sparking concern over their ability to produce original work, ranging from college-level essays to art.
A chat box that can mimic human intelligence and create poetry? I had to try it.
Write a haiku about a tabby cat.
Here's what came back. Soft fur brushed by breeze, tabby cat basks in the sun, purrs of contentment. Not bad. There's also an image generator that can compose and manipulate pictures with a few keywords.
Created entirely by artificial intelligence. Today we're going.
It's the rise of generative AI, a branch of artificial intelligence that enables computer programs to create original content.
Let's see how good of a college essay ChatGPT can write.
This tool from the San Francisco-based company OpenAI is ChatGPT and can write essays.
Let's take a look at a couple of these sentences. Starting from the top, computer science has always been a fascinating field to me from the moment I first learned about computers.
And children's books. Last month, design manager Amar Rashi used ChatGPT and text-to-image program Midjourney to create his book, Alice and Sparkle. Here's how it works. To create new content, these programs are trained on data sets of existing content that hold text, images, video files, or even code scraped from the internet. Some artists say this amounts to appropriating their work without permission.
I do hyperrealistic drawings,
including South African artist Jonah Dry.
This scares me. It makes a huge part of my practice somewhat redundant.
Hey artists, if you've been wondering if AI has been using your art to train itself, I figured out where to look.
Illustrator Carly Ann Tipsy suggested artists go to the site haveibeentrained.com to see if their artwork was used in training popular text-to-image programs.
I personally found my book cover on there and a lot of stuff from some of my favorite artists.
And last month, artists protested the portfolio site ArtStation for featuring AI-generated art on its page.
This new wave of sophisticated AI tools is raising some tricky ethical questions, as well as some big concerns about topics such as the future of human labor. For more on some of these ramifications, I'm joined by Kelsey Piper. She's a senior reporter at Vox News who covers artificial intelligence. Kelsey Piper, thank you so much for joining the NewsHour. I know this is a
Okay, so I think I'll stop here. I would share this deck just so we can. I thought the conversation was interesting. I think the lady said something interesting. She said one of the scary things, right, is that AI can do something, a totally human thing called BSing, right? I mean, you saw it with the college application where it was literally like, since I was a child, I've always wanted to study. And it's like, ChatGPT says, who was a child? How do you know this? Right, so literally it can even create like scenarios that do not exist. But I mean, I think for me, and this is the answer, like I sort of felt like this lady's video sort of answers it. So this was actually Sundar Pichai, that's the CEO of Google, also speaking around AI, what keeps him up at night. I think it was interesting for him. What he mentioned was that what he's mostly concerned about is that right now there's just this crazy race. Every company is just trying to create their own version, you know, just to beat the competition. Nobody wants to be obsolete without really considering what the ethics of it are, right? But yeah, let me just play this video.
I think we should all be a little bit afraid. You know, we have no idea what kind of shape this is going to take. We have no idea what possibilities are going to be out there. This is why I think AI will free us up to be creative again. I think we get actually more creative than this. This is our first pass. I think it is going to liberate us. I do think, like I said earlier, that we have been stuck for a while. I think we should all be a little bit afraid. You know, we have no idea what kind of shape this is going to take. We have no idea what possibilities are going to be out there. But we should be very excited. And this is not the first time in history a tech or new technology comes out there and disrupts us. The Industrial Revolution changed everything. I think it was an exciting point in time. And, you know, design and architecture changed drastically. Transportation kind of went on a fly and it was completely redefined. A lot of great things came out of the Industrial Revolution and it created the world that we know so well today, and it keeps pushing. So that was a great moment in time, and we all know that because we can see the consequences of it. The camera is another one, right? Before the camera, artists' job was really to replicate kind of something that this was right in front of them. You would be amazing at doing portraits or amazing at doing landscapes, but you were replicating the world that you lived in. It was not a lot of, you know, imagination. It was maybe more of very kind of core technical skills, and you would be brilliant at it. The camera came out, completely disrupted the art scene, and they had to rethink it from the get-go. And that's what happened to art. That's why art is so fascinating and great today and imaginative and so, you know, fun. It's because the camera came in and disrupted it. So they had to rethink. And then the one that many of us are really familiar with is the internet. I remember in 1995, I was in Washington, D.C., visiting my uncle. And he said, Fura, come here, I'm going to show you something very interesting. And I walked into his office, and he opened up the computer. And he showed me AOL.com, and he's like, the world is about to change. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, this is exciting. I really didn't quite get it. Funny enough, that's where I've been working with since then. But it changed the way we connect. Before that, when I was in Washington, D.C., I was literally writing letters to my friend in 1995, you know? Today, it doesn't matter where I live in the world, I can connect with my family and friends in real time. It's massive. I don't think everything has been positive about the internet and technology, but it definitely pushed mankind to a different way of connecting and communicating and opened up a lot of avenues. AI is going to be the next big thing. I think it's going to be bigger than all of them, actually. I know there's a lot of negativity around it as well, and there's a lot of risk, and we should really be aware of that it's that dangerous technology. We need to kind of, you know, treat it with respect. But I also think it's going to be a revolution, and it's going to be a creative revolution for everybody in this room.
Okay, thanks. So I think we end with what she said. AI would liberate us. Let's believe that. Well, yeah, thanks everyone. That brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you for tuning in.
All right, thank you very much, Motola. Thank you for a wonderful session. Yeah, I guess that's it for today. See you guys around. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everyone.